Kitchen tech that can save lives. Welcome back to Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin. Joining us from Ome, O-M-E, is CEO and founder Akshita Iyer. Hi, Akshita.
Hi, Fred. Thanks so much for having me here. It's an honor to share more about what we're building.
Well, very exciting here. Now, you've developed a smart stove knob designed to make cooking safer and easier. Give us the overview here.
Yeah, we are really fundamentally on a mission to just build a better kitchen. The home has really come to the forefront as being, a very important part of our lives, right? Especially over the last few years. And I started this company simply because I had a personal experience in my own home with my mom. She left the stove on one too many times and started a kitchen fire. And as someone who grew up in the kitchen, and every memory that I have is there when this happened, it was a big realization that my parents' lives are changing, especially as they get older. They want to stay at home. And smart technology just hasn't been able to keep up in the kitchen like it has in the rest of the home. And the kitchen is a challenging place, right? Appliances last 10 to 15 years. So it's not easy to just replace your appliance all the time with new technology. So we saw an opportunity to leverage your existing appliances to bring technology through retrofit solutions, just like your smart door locks and doorbells. So what we've built is the only retrofit system on the market today that can turn your standard gas or electric stove into a smart appliance without the need for a new one. So as you said, we have this smart knob that just replaces your existing stove knob, completely DIY to install, takes under 5 minutes. And importantly, you use your stove like you do every day. So you push, you turn. The only difference is that our device is Wi-Fi connected. It's got a built-in motor, so we can automatically and proactively control each burner based on what's happening in your kitchen. First and foremost, solving for the number one cause of house fires, which is leaving the stove on, just like my mom did, and then building off from there.
And of course, there's a need with older adults, but if I can recall back to my 40s, I remember going to the movie theater and thinking, honey, did you leave the burner on?
Yeah, I mean, it happens with everyone, right? Regardless of age. I mean, we see a lot of our customers are, busy parents, right? With young kids at home, they're working from home, multitasking, trying to get food on the table, and they're distracted. And so, just leaving the stove on even for an extra 5 or 10 minutes may not even lead to a house fire, but it could lead to burnt food, right? Or burnt rice or overcooked pasta. Then you've got to start all over again. And so, there are a variety of different scenarios, regardless, like you said, of age, where we can help with this technology.
Step us through the installation process here. It is fast and easy.
Yeah, so all you have to do is take your knob off. If you've never done that before, underneath your knob, there is a shaft. We have an adapter that goes onto the shaft. We give you an installation tool so you can set the height accordingly. And then our knob just attaches right back on. And then from there, we have an app that will guide you through a calibration process so that we know, and your app reflects the settings of your stove. So where off, medium, low, and high are. And then from there, you use your stove like you do all the time, and you'll get real-time alerts through our app. You can also activate your Alexa skills if you would like to have some hands-free cooking control. You can do everything in our app that you can do through voice. And then after installation, it's pretty simple.
So these are powered. So there's a rechargeable battery in it. Step us through what needs to be done with that.
Yeah, we do have a rechargeable battery. So our app will let you know when your battery is at a low battery state, and then also at critically low. So we want to make sure that you charge that at the low battery state. We'll give you a notification. You simply just take the knob off. We have a USB-C port, so you just plug it in. It takes a few hours. Our app will let you know when it is fully charged so that you can go and install it back on. What is important too about how our knob is built is, if you take that knob off and for some reason you need to still use that burner, you can actually just take that adapter off very easily. You can put your old knob back on so that you can use it, and then you can just install our knob back on as well. So we typically find, though, our customers are charging this overnight, so they're usually not using the stove at that time. So we don't see too many issues with that. And our battery lasts about 4 to 6 months. We also see many people only use 1 or 2 burners the most. And so, we only have a need for charging maybe once or twice a year.
So can these be charged while they're still in place on the stove?
No, I mean, if you have a long enough USB-C cable, in theory, you could. We do not provide you a long enough cable to charge it while it's still on the stove, just because there are a variety of safety concerns. If you're still cooking, there's a cord hanging through your stove. So we do not advise that you do that. We advise that you just take it off and charge it.
That's the safest way to
Yes.
do it. So you mentioned how this came about, and when you came up with the idea, you did an appearance on Shark Tank. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's funny, Fred. It kind of came full circle, because when I had this experience in my own home, this was around the time where I was actually watching a lot of Shark Tank. So my degree is in neuroscience, so never expected to know anything about or so much about kitchen appliances. But I took a few gap years. I worked at a hospital and was watching a lot of Shark Tank, and to be honest, got very inspired by all of these entrepreneurs that didn't have your typical engineering, product development, ex-Apple, Google backgrounds, just building solutions for their own problems. So that's how I really had the courage to start something when I had this incident. And then, a year later, Shark Tank actually found us and reached out and said, hey, you're building something interesting. Would you come on the show? And so it was a very surreal moment to actually be in that tank after watching religiously for a long time. It was a great experience. The power of the show, outside of, that giving you that courage as an entrepreneur, was that, we got so much visibility, right? You have thousands of people that are reaching out, sharing how valuable the technology is. And at the time, we barely had a functioning prototype. So, we weren't able to capitalize immediately on the revenue potential if we had been selling product. But we did hear from so many people about the applications of our technology beyond just peace of mind and safety. Like, can we use this as a way to actually bring true automation to your most used cooking appliance that has traditionally been left out of the smart appliance group? And we were offered a deal from Robert, but didn't take it. He was not the right shark. I don't think it was the right deal. And to be honest, at the time, I was still trying to figure out what this whole startup thing was about. And, I think if we had taken the money at that time, probably would have just gone down the drain. Because we didn't take that money, I had to really just learn. And I went out to the Bay Area for some time, met a ton of founders to figure out, who do you raise money from? How do you raise money? What is a pitch deck? How do you think about, market expansion, go to market? So all in all, I think it worked out in our best interest, but it was a very game-changing experience just to have the courage and the validation that we were actually onto something.
And then you ran into, obviously, like everyone, the issues with manufacturing and shipping and all of that, which came at a time when you were ready to get rolling here, right?
Yeah, exactly. We brought on our first hire about 6 months before COVID hit. And so, then, we were a fully remote team really until last year. And then on top of it, when you're building a first generation product, you're not really thinking about, the supply chain issues that ended up hitting us. And so, it was very challenging in 2020 and 2021 as we were trying to get out our first devices to get the components we needed. And we were able to work around it, and we were able to leverage our partners who did a lot of the fighting for us to get the parts that we needed. And we were still able to ship a lot of product in the last, year and a half. But we are now working on our next generation device and taking all the learnings that we had from all these supply chain issues to make sure that our next generation is much more flexible as it relates to, different components that we can swap out. But, especially as a small business, and as a small company, the supply chain issues that we saw the last couple of years were challenging, to say the least.
So tell us what you can about what you're working on.
Yeah, one of the big things that we learned from, our Gen 1 was, first the purpose of Gen 1 was to make sure that this thing works. It works as we say it does. People use it. The core technology is robust, which we proved. But then, we started to see, we had compatibility constraints. If you think about your stove tops where the knobs are closer together, these might not fit side by side because it's bigger than your typical stovetop knobs. So we knew we had to figure out how to get the size down. And then also importantly, Fred, aesthetics in the kitchen are huge, right? People buy specific ranges because of how they look and how the knobs look. And so we wanted to make sure that with our next generation that we could have some design flexibility so that if you have red knobs, pink, blue, purple, that we could account for that. So with our next generation, we do have a much more compact design. So our compatibility is a lot greater. We'll be able to fit with almost any brand, model, and style stove. And then we also will allow you to have more design options so that your stove looks exactly like it does now, but it's got our technology built in.
These are designed to work with the gas or electric ranges?
Gas or electric, any stove that has a knob.
And if you were to move or get a new appliance, assuming it has knobs, because some today, I guess, are push button things.
Yeah.
If there are knobs, you can take this with you and put it on the new appliance, I assume.
You absolutely can. And we designed this specifically because of that, right? Like if you're renting an apartment and you want to leave, you want to take this with you, you can uninstall the entire system and you can reinstall the old knobs back on your stove and it'll look like nothing ever happened and you can take this with you. If you need additional installation parts, you can reach out to us and we'll give those to you. But yeah, you can take this anywhere.
Tell me about the markets that you're targeting with this.
Yeah. So, ultimately, this is a piece of technology that I want in every home, either as a retrofit or as an integrated solution into an appliance. Where we have seen the most adoption, as I mentioned earlier, what we call our family warriors, right? Busy parents, typically middle-aged adults who have young kids at home. They're always multitasking. They want to cook at home because it's healthier, it's cheaper, and they're already adopters of all of the smart home security systems because they're very vigilant about the safety of their families. What we started to see over the last year were that, though that demographic, we were kind of killing two birds with one stone because they were buying this for themselves and then they were also buying this for their aging family members. And so then we started to see this shift into, can we leverage our technology for older adults who are at an increased risk of cooking accidents, but who want to age at home and are looking and spending thousands of dollars at a time to retrofit their homes with assistive technologies that allow them to preserve their independence, right? 10,000 baby boomers a day are turning 65 and they all want to stay in their own homes. And so we have now started to capture that market more with multi-unit building and property managers. So think your, independent living communities and, going through organizations that are already serving that demographic. And so I think with those two, we have found a very core and enthusiastic group of customers that really find value from our technology every day. We also do have our early tech adopters, right, who love cutting edge technology and who want to have the smartest home and who have a passion for cooking and using innovation to enhance their skills. So that seems to be where we're playing right now.
And I guess a lot of people got into baking bread during this, sometimes on the stovetop too. So
yeah,
there
definitely.
you go. So are you looking at other kinds of appliances in the kitchen too? Or are you trying to work with perhaps some manufacturers?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we, as I mentioned, we always knew that this was going to be a piece of a larger puzzle. The future of our kitchens is not just a single product, right? It has to be a connected ecosystem that can bring together all the aspects of cooking, whether it's automation or precision, inspiration, community, under one roof. And so While we're not looking at expanding into different appliances, we've already got smart fridges and dishwashers and ovens. What we're looking at is building more vertically. So, now that we have control of your gas and electric stove, your most used cooking appliance, you can imagine a world where we could integrate, let's say, a temperature probe or some computer vision system so that we can actually see what's happening on your stove. We can know when your meat reaches the right temperature, your pot of spaghetti boils, your chicken starts to brown, and create an experience that allows you to really put something on the stove and forget it, right? Set it and forget it. And then also to unlock and capture unique insights into what's going on in your kitchen. We get so much data from all of, the other smart devices we have in our homes. And what I see as one of the best parts about what we're doing is that we now have access to actionable data points every day about consumer cooking behavior, right? How often do you cook? What time of day do you cook? What recipes do you use so that we can continue to personalize that experience for you? And so we are looking at working with and actually exploring some strategic partnerships, especially with those companies that already have very built out digital ecosystems, but don't have something specifically for surface cooking. And when we think about surface cooking, it's not just your stove or your range, but you think outdoor grilling, you think commercial applications. So we're looking at applying our technology in a variety of contexts, but still staying within our lane.
Tell us about the alerts that are enabled here and how that can help in a household and maybe even remotely with caregivers or children.
So the alerts we have today, basically whenever the knob needs to do something, right? So if you set a cooking timer and that timer expires, we'll send you notification that your stove has turned off and your food is ready. If our auto shutoff engages, we also send you a notification that, hey, your stove was left on, we turned it off for you. You can even go into our app and confirm just to get that visual indication that the knob is off. And then for caregivers and family members, what we see is all of those alerts can be sent to whomever you want them to be sent to. And what we're working on now is actually building in algorithms to be able to detect any variance in cooking activity. So one thing, especially for, the senior living communities is if we can establish a baseline of, how often is someone cooking? Are they cooking every day, every other day? What time? Let's say all of a sudden, there's a resident that doesn't cook for 4 days. We can recognize that is an anomaly in their traditional cooking activity, and we can alert the appropriate caregiver. So, the basic alerts right now are really just keeping you informed of what's happening on your stove. We also have a safety lock, so you can actually lock the knobs if after 9 o'clock nobody should be using it, and if it's turned on, we automatically turn it off, and we will send you notification that your stove is being used when it shouldn't be, and then looking to expand on that based on feedback from our customer base too, on what information and what alerting tools are valuable.
And we should tell people that there is no way this can be used to remotely turn the stove on.
Yes. For safety reasons, we do not allow remote turn on just mechanically. So if you cook often, you've got to push and turn, that still has to happen. So there's no way for a knob to be turned on remotely. Once you turn it on, then we can take over and either change the temperature or turn it off. So yeah, you are right. No remote turn on. So you don't have to worry about, someone accidentally turning your stove on when you're not there.
Tell us about pricing and availability.
Yeah, so you can find our device and buy it on our website at omekitchen.com. And we sell our device in different packages. So you can buy a set of 4 for your entire stove at $549. And you can also add additional knobs if you have more than 4 burners. You can also just buy 1 or 2 if you just want to test it out. And let's say you only use 1 or 2 burners the most. So you can find it on our website. And then, as I said, we are also working with senior living communities, independent living communities. So if this is something that you want your community to integrate, you can always reach out to us as well, so we can work with your property managers and facilities managers to get this integrated.
Again, the website is omekitchen.com. Akshita Iyer, thank you for spending time with us.
Thanks so much, Fred. Glad to be here.